are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. It is Thursday, July 6th, and I am freaking pumped for this episode for a multitude of reasons, right? So number one, we're into July. We're getting closer to the NFL season. What does that mean? I'll tell you what that means. First week of divisional predictions this week. So we will have the NFC West to talk about. Favorite time of the year for the both of us on this show. I mean, we really have a lot of fun with these divisional predictions. It gives us a chance to look into the future a little bit, to examine each one of these teams game by game, week by week, and what we think will kind of transpire throughout the year. So really pumped for this episode. Also, it's a full football episode, all NFL football. So we are back to the full swing of things and how we like to do things here on the show. Also, we have some show news, right? So if you haven't seen on social media in the past week, we are releasing the Players Only podcast, which will be coming to the Issue Sports Network on August 1st. So make sure you're going to our social medias there, theissuesports.com, checking everything out. Just wanted to get that out of the way now, right in the beginning, while we have all of our viewers with us still. But to go over the show for today, we will have Tim's rant to get us kicked off. Going to be talking about the Patriots and the severe lack of talent in New England. And then we're going to finish out the first segment there with hits and misses. Getting into the second segment will be our divisional predictions. So as I said, the NFC West, breaking down the entire division. Then we'll get into some superlatives, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Breakout Player, and the coach. So that'll all be there at home in the second segment. And then to round out the show in the third, we will have some sports news. And then, of course, a discussion on Justin Fields. But nevertheless, I am amped for today, no matter how you're joining us. You can see us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Prime Video, Amazon Music, iTunes. So go down the list. We are there. Thanks for joining us today.
I'm also pretty pumped. Happy late 4th of July for those out there. Hope you were safe, had a good holiday. So anyway, the New England Patriots, most people think of them, or the Cowboys like America's team, whatever, right? So, we'll talk about them today. They're crumbling right before our very eyes, and personally, I couldn't be happier about it. All the years of Bill Belichick's smug comments and on to Cincinnati and just getting beat by him and Brady over and over, it wears on you. I'm very happy to see them now. Of course, taking a step back, it's a nice little switch up. And I already know what's going to happen, under this video. Because I'll preface this by saying I am going to rip Bill Belichick and the Patriots a little bit. And I know what I'm going to hear. Oh, but he's got 7 rings. What do you have? What do the Steelers have? Right? What does your favorite team have? Bill Belichick did this. I agree. Bill Belichick's legacy, at the bare minimum, has him as a top 3 all-time coach. The accomplishments, the culture he was able to build, defenses, the team success, kind of helping mold I don't even want to say one of anymore, the best quarterback to ever play the game. I think he deserves a ton of recognition, ton of credit. Obviously a Hall of Famer, probably top 3 of all time, like I said. But with that being said, I'd like to propose the other side of this argument. Remember, 2 things can be true at once, right? I can think that Bill deserves all that credit, and I can also say what I'm about to say. The Patriots signed Devontae Parker for 3 years, $33 million, right? Very similar deal to Juju. That's weird. They're both nice receivers. Both would be average 2s, closer to a really good 3 maybe. Here's what's interesting, right? With the offense's limiting factor being speed and playmaking, they've now signed 2 players who just don't separate. They're not explosive. They don't create plays on their own. And they signed them well above their market value. Not only did you get a 3, you paid them like a low-end 1. But you did it twice. Not only did you do it once, you did it twice. Right? Both of them are system-dependent players, coaching-dependent players. They need the system to help get them open. I mean, literally, Devontae Parker is 132 of 132 in separation. Like, I'm talking dead last in the league according to, next-gen stats or whatever they use to track that. I don't even think those receivers even top 10 to 15. No, that's Not even an argument. They're not with Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams, right? They're just not. I don't even think you'd put him in the second class with like a Tyler Lockett and a Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen, right? They're not in that class. Would you even put him in the third class receivers, which is like a Tyler Boyd, Gabe Davis class? No, I'd put him with like an Allen Lazard, roughly, maybe, somewhere on there. I mean, again, just to go back to that stat, in the last 3 years, Devontae Parker, according to Next Gen Stats, has been dead last in separation. In 2022, he was 132 of 132. In 2021, he was 120, I want to say 7 of 127, and he was like 129 of 129 in 2022. Dead last 3 years in a row. It's not an anomaly. It's not, he had one down year. No, he's had 3. That's what he is. Right? That is the player he is. And it seems like the more control Bill Belichick gets, the more the Patriots go downhill. And this is where I tie it back to loving to watch Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots crumble. Let's go ahead and play a little game that we played. Let's put up coaching resumes, and let's see how it shakes out. So let's go here, Coach 1 and Coach 2. So Coach 1 wins less than half his games. Playoff records 1 and 2. His average, ranking offense in scoring is 17th in the league. Defense is 11th, so it was a bit of a defensive coach. The next coach, he wins 64% of his games. Interesting. Much better than the playoffs. He's in the playoffs much more. He's 22 and 16. Average scoring offense is 9th. Average scoring defense is, again, 11. That's odd. Let's reveal who they are. Oh, the one that wins 47% of his games. What do you know? It's Bill Belichick without Tom Brady. That's Bill's years in Cleveland. That's Bill's years post-Brady in New England. That's Bill's 1 year with Matt Castle when Brady was hurt. There's Bill. And the other coach is, of course, Andy Reid. And I think we're viewing, we view Andy Reid as like, he's this offensive genius, but he's not Bill, right? Of course he's not Bill. You're right, he's not Bill. I'd argue he's better than Bill. He's better than Bill. Is he better than Bill with Brady, with McDaniels, with Randy Moss, and with a bunch of talent? Probably not. But is he better than Bill right now? Absolutely is. Okay, let's do this again. So we'll keep Bill up on the one side here. Next coach wins, 63% of his games. A little bit under 500 in the playoff, but again, is in more playoff games. Average scoring offense is 15th, but average scoring defense is 9th, so a little bit better defensively, right? That's Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, who's viewed as, he won with Cowher's team, and if your argument is that he's never been under 500, then that's not a real argument. Well, looks to me like he wins more, gets to the playoffs more. Better defensively, actually, believe it or not. Okay, let's do another one. This coach here wins 63% of his games, slightly above 500 in the playoffs. His average scoring offense is 6th, defense is 16th, so not quite as good defensively, but much, much better offensively. Who is that? That'd be future Hall of Famer Sean Payton. Sean Payton, Super Bowls, Drew Brees, right? Saints were a high-powered offense for a while. That'd be Sean Payton. Okay, this one's going to really make people mad. Okay, this is the last one, I swear. The next coach, 61%, winning percentage. Playoff record, again, slightly over 500, and in more playoff games, much more playoff games. Average scoring offense is 8th, so much better offensively. Again, 16th defensively, so not great. Who is that guy that stacks up actually pretty good against Bill Belichick without Tom Brady? What do you know? It's Mike McCarthy. Everybody wants to run Mike McCarthy out of Dallas, and I can hear an argument for let's make a change, but let's not act like Mike McCarthy's some sort of bum. I know he's had Aaron. I know he's had Dak, who's a very competent quarterback. I get all that, but that's what he is. He's playing with the cards he's dealt, and what do you know? He's succeeding. And it should be noted as well. People say, well, Bill's got, since Brady's left, he's had Mac Jones, and in Cleveland, who did he have? Fair, but let's also look at who he's drafted. A bunch of nobodies. And let's also remember that he was the one that forced Brady out. He was the one that wanted Garoppolo in 2015. Right? He was the one who was abrasive and eroded the relationship with Brady. And the primary reason Brady left, because he can't draft and develop offensive talent. Brady looked around and said, Jacoby Myers is my number 1. He doesn't separate. And I like Jacoby Myers, but he doesn't separate. He's not the number 1. Whose fault is that? None other than Bill Belichick's. So you can say, you like to post these stats, but look at the talent he's had. It's his fault. I'm not giving him credit. I'm not giving him credit for dealing with a situation that he created. That's all on him. So you could say, oh, it's a shorter sample size. It's 150 games. Like, not that small. I can't make Josh Allen punt in recent years. Like, and I'm not saying that Bill's not this legend. I'm not saying you should fire him immediately. But my point is, times change, right? Like, the NFL's not about history. If it's about history, we'll talk about baseball. Oh, there's still an argument for Babe Ruth over Shohei Ohtani. If we want to talk about history, we'll talk about baseball, right? The NFL is, what are you going to do for me tomorrow? How do you help me win games tomorrow? Can we win this season? That's it. Nothing else matters in the NFL. And right now, Bill Belichick clearly does not have the answer for, can you help me win?
Wow. I mean, somebody had to say it. And the game with the blind resume is really, it's very revealing, very telling of the problems that have just been going on in New England. And that was such a good rant. I don't have anything to add to it. No notes. But all I can say is you did bring the energy today.
Hey, appreciate
Brought it today.
Appreciate it.
Let's see if we can keep it up. We're going to go here, hits and misses.
All right, hit number one. There was a bunch of speculation that the Warriors, Draymond Green could go to a new team, I guess. The Kings, the Blazers were interested. The Mavs, I think, made a couple calls. But I said the Warriors are going to bring back Draymond. He's super valuable to that team. And he gets his longer-term deal, which he wanted, right? He was willing to take less per year, but he wanted more security. So he gets 4 years, $100 million. I actually like the deal. It's cheaper annually. And like I said, I think a happy Draymond Green is a useful, productive Draymond Green. He's very good defensively. He's a leader. I like the move.
Yeah, I mean, somebody that's going to give you that much production. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces. I'm not going to act like I go in and analyze each and every game.
Yeah.
But big, when you can keep a star in town.
Yeah, big, he's only going to give you, 7, 8 a game. But it's the defense.
Yep.
And I think he's a much better passer and offensive orchestrator than people give him credit for. So
I agree with that.
Draymond's back for $100 million. Mr. Number one here. Second time, we're going to do the NFC West predictions today. And so we took a look back at last year's, right? We're like, we're curious. Well, what did we say last year, right? This is one of our rougher divisions. I think we got the division winners, 6 of 8 or something like that? 5 of 8?
Yeah, 6 of 8.
It was over 50%.
Yeah.
And I think we nailed two divisions.
3 divisions we hit perfect.
And then I think we had 2 more that were mostly right. We had the first and last place team, couple switched in the middle, right?
Yeah.
But this was not one of those divisions. We had Seattle in last. I think we had them a 4-win football team. They won 10, I think.
We had the Rams in first at 13 and 4.
Yeah, Arizona was in second at 9 and 8. We had the Niners at 8 and 9 in third. A total mess. And this does go to show though. That's the NFL, right? People are like, oh, well, they were good last year, or we'll hear in the comments all the time, did you see Justin Fields last year? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Is it still 20? Is it last year?
It was 2022.
That's my bad.
I thought it was 2023.
Oh, it's going to be the 2023. Okay, right. So it's a completely different season, right?
Yeah.
Things happen. There's very few constants, right? The top 12 quarterbacks are going to be pretty consistent, right? Kirk Cousins.
I don't even know about that. I'd say maybe the top 7 to 8, because after that, I mean, think about it. When we do our top 10 quarterbacks week in and week out, number 9 and 10 are
there's a couple that switch here and there, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a bunch of Dak, Kirk Cousins. You're going to obviously have your Burrows, Herberts, Allens, Mahomes, right?
Maybe a Derek Carr.
A Derek Carr might sneak in there, right? Russ, except for last year, has been in their last decade, right?
That's part
Aaron
of the movement.
Rodgers, right? There's a little bit of movement here and there, but at the end of the day, it's usually the same guys. Yeah. But outside of that, the NFL is completely a crapshoot. It's you have no idea what you're getting. That's the fun of it, though.
It's really tough.
Hit number 2 here. I've done this rant twice, but I guess it needs brought up again. Every time this player starts to go off, it gets brought up again. But Shohei Ohtani is easily the best baseball talent I've ever seen. I don't think it's particularly close. I said he's better than Babe. He's better than Ted Williams. Outside of just pure hitting for average, Tony Gwynn might be better. You just hit the ball where it's pitched, pure hitter. But as an overall talent, Shohei Ohtani is much better. The power, he can run. Obviously, he can pitch. He's been on a tear this past month. He won Player of the Month in the AL. He was at 394 with a 1.444 OPS.
Yeah, crazy.
15 home runs, 29 RBIs. He's nuts.
100%. He is the best player in baseball right now. And did you see the thing on StatCast too? As of this past week, I guess, he has now surpassed Aaron Judge's home run record season. So he is now,
he's on pace for that. Yes.
Yes. So he has surpassed the threshold that Aaron was at at this exact point in time of that season.
Yeah, he's at 31. He's at 31, I think, right now. It's insane.
And
it's insane.
He's still, striking people out left and right too at the same time, which is just ridiculous. Which I think we asked the question on the show, like if Judge gets paid, like if he got paid $300 million, what do you pay Ohtani? 6?
I think I said 6.
I mean, he does double the work, double the things.
I mean, would you give him $500 million? I don't.
Which is crazy.
I don't even think I'd bat an eye to give him $500 million.
Crazy.
I mean, like, who's the last young player in any major sport to come in and be this good?
Dominant.
I would say Mahomes. Mahomes is the only one right now, to my knowledge, who has gotten a $500 million contract in pro-American sports.
Yeah. I mean, it's nuts. It's freaking nuts.
Miss number 2 here. I came on here saying that the Buccos would take Dylan Cruz, no doubt. Not even they could mess it up, right? Like, usually they find a way to mess it up. I'm like, oh, not even the Pirates can mess this up.
You saw that mock draft I sent you?
The reports are out.
Yeah.
They are reportedly going to not. They're leaning towards not taking Dylan Cruz to save signing bonus money. Of course they will. Doesn't surprise me at all. I'm at a loss for words and opinions really with this organization. I don't know what to say. They're just
like you get your crack and your shot at a first pick.
I don't know.
Take the best talent. Well, now they're looking at what's his name, Max something.
Max Clark from Indiana.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying he's not good, and I'm not like I would be like.
But do we need another outfielder? Do we need an outfielder?
Yeah. I mean, right now, who's your outfield?
I mean, I would argue that pitching. I would argue that pitching is like equivalent to the quarterback position in baseball, and to like the football. If you're going to make that equivalent, and you should probably have your pitching staff nailed down.
I would take Dylan Cruz. Another outfielder. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I would.
Skeens.
I like Paul.
Maybe Skeens. I like Skeens a lot. I'm not saying Max Clark isn't good. And we do need another outfielder, but it's like,
I don't know, man.
Take Dylan Cruz. He's the better outfielder. Like, he's the better outfielder. I don't know. Hit number 3 here. I said when the Pens hired Dubas, I was like, good. They should have hired Dubas. Like, that's exactly what we need. And they need a change, right? We can't keep bringing the same people back. Oh, it's loyalty. We're bringing everybody. We got to be loyal, right? Like, changes and tough changes need to be made. That's kind of how you pivot from not making the playoffs and being not a losing franchise, but not living up to the standard of the franchise. Like, life moves on. I'd love for Dumo to stay and be productive, but his time's passed. At the number he's at, the time is passed. I'm sorry, it is what it is. Same with Zucker. I'll miss them both, but it is what it is. Tough changes need to be made, and I'm glad Dubas is doing it.
Well, let's not act like these two guys were like faces of the city, though, either. It's not like trading Malkin and Letang, right? It's not like getting rid of those
I still think he should, and I wouldn't rule it out that they trade Malkin. I'm just throwing that out there.
Right, or Letang. I think both of them could go, but I'm just saying, Dumoulin and and Zucker don't have the same namesake in Pittsburgh.
They're very nice players. You can find a bunch of nice players on the market.
Right.
They're nice.
And they haven't even been here for that long. So
yeah, they're nice.
Chill out.
That's it. Miss number 3 here. So out of all the money bet in Vegas on New England, over-unders and like playoff success, 99% of the bets on New England are to either go over their win total or make the playoffs.
Huh.
I don't get it.
And
it's plus 250, so I guess like it's worth your money, right? They're probably minus like 300 to not.
Yeah.
So like I get it. That you're trying to make money. That's the side you would take if you're gonna make money, right? Like the only side to really put it on. But I just don't understand that there's that much money on New England to succeed. Like, who are we kidding? Who are they throwing the ball to?
You just talked about it.
Devontae Parker and Juju Smith. That's it.
Yeah, those are some dudes.
No, is Nelson Aguilar? No, I don't even think Nelson Aguilar's on the team anymore. Kendrick Bourne, 2 tight ends that don't separate, like a decent offensive line, but that's it.
And Mac Jones, baby, cannon arm Mac.
Not my bag, but there's miss number 3. Or that is hits and misses, guys. Make sure you don't go anywhere. We have the very coveted, the long-awaited, very first NFL divisional predictions. We have the NFC West coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, women, men, kids, pets, goldfish. It's a second segment. It is the first installment of our divisional predictions of 2023, our 4th edition. We argued during the break. I thought it was 3rd. You said it was 4th. It ends up being our 4th installment of divisional predictions. We go division by division. We give you 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place. We also give superlatives because we're just better than everybody else. It just is what it is. And we, of course, we do the same order. I don't know why we picked it the first time, The first time we ever did it, we picked our order, and we have stuck with it. And that starts with the NFC West. That is, of course, out west in the NFC. We will then do AFC West. This is 8 weeks in a row, starting right now, to lead us into the NFL season. Here we go, NFC West. For those who are new to the show, we always start at the bottom of our list, so this one will be the fourth place team, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes.
We have them. I view them, to be honest with you, as a 3-win team. If Kyler comes back around week 9 or 10, like people think he could, I could see it being
They might be able to squeak out some more
7-win
wins.
team.
Maybe
a 6. I think any game Kyler plays in, you have a chance to win, and he's that talented.
Right.
But here's why I have them as a 3-win team and why I predict them not winning 6, 7, maybe 8 games, right? Is because even if Kyler comes back in week 10, they'll win 7, 8 games. But here, that's the thing. That's a big if. I don't think he'll come back. I think by about week 10, they'll be 2-8 maybe, roughly, like 2-8. I think is realistic when he comes back. And I can see the owner and the GM and the new coach. It's an entire new staff that didn't draft him, didn't develop him.
Right.
I can see them saying, you know what, Kyler, thanks for your services. Kyler definitely got a market. You cannot tell me in a league that is so quarterback-centric, you're telling me Washington wouldn't make a call? You're telling me Tampa, if Tampa's not in the sweepstakes next year, they wouldn't make a call?
Yeah.
Atlanta, if they win 7 games, they're not making a call?
Yep.
Right? So I would not be surprised if the owner says, Kyler, sit this one out. They move Kyler Murray, and they use the number 1 or number 2 pick to go get one of the generational quarterback prospects that we view as Drake May and Caleb Williams next year.
I think that's what they should do.
I view that they will be bad for the first half and tank the second half, sitting Kyler Murray out.
I think that's what they should do. I mean, they need to worry about the future, and like we said, your future isn't with Kyler.
I agree.
So here's the thing, though. Their schedule isn't impossible to the average team, but let's keep in mind the Cardinals are a below-average team.
Well,
like they start with the Commanders and they start with the Giants, which could get people in Arizona a little inflated if they were to somehow beat those two teams. Because, I mean, would it shock you if the Commanders sunk down to their level, and would it shock you if the Giants were horrible to start?
Absolutely not. I don't even know who's going to start in Arizona. Is Colt McCoy still? I have no idea who their starting quarterback is. Trace
very,
McSorley?
very, very tough. I mean, it starts to ramp up a little bit with the Cowboys, and then you get 49ers, then you get the Bengals, then you get the Rams, then you get the Seahawks, battle through your division one time. And then you have to play the Ravens. So I mean, like, then that's when
5 straight losses.
Yes. So when Kyler comes back, that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's 2-7 or 2-5. Sorry,
You're probably 2 yeah.
That's even if you give them the first 2 wins. I think they probably go 1-6.
And you're being inserted right into a really, really tough part of the season.
Like I don't see it happening.
No.
I don't see it happening for Arizona. Like I said, I think they probably will end up sitting Kyler out. Who knows? And from his standpoint, is he going to come back to a 7-8 loss team as somebody who's already injury prone and go get kicked around a little bit? I don't think so.
No.
Number 3, Seattle Seahawks. I think they take a step down. I still think they are. I view them as a winning football team. I think they're 9-8.
Yeah.
I do think they take a step back though slightly. I think the defense overachieved. Can they do it again? Maybe. But I also think the division is going to get better. I view the Rams as a better football team tomorrow, as long as Stafford's healthy. I think San Francisco, depending on their quarterback situation, is a very good football team. But Seattle, I think we would expect Geno Smith to kind of come back down to earth a little bit. He was good. Do I see him being the best season of his career again?
Definitely not.
I don't. I think I see him taking a step. He was a very B-plus quarterback. I see him taking a step down to maybe a B-minus quarterback.
I can see that.
And I think that's enough to cost him a win. They were 10-7. Like I only have them regressing 1 win. It's not that bad.
Yeah. So they have.
But I think division gets better, so they drop to 3rd.
And we also have them splitting with every team in their division.
Yeah, we have them splitting, except for Arizona. So we have them going 4-2 in division. They're going to split with San Fran and the Rams.
Yeah. So
and then they beat Arizona twice, like they should.
And I mean, their schedule is kind of interesting too. We go through it, and there's some teams that or some games that could go either way, right? I mean, like you tell me Seahawks Titans late season, right? Mike Vrabel's a genius head coach.
That's a coin flip game.
You're gonna be you got even Seahawks Ravens. A little
to me, depending on the health of the Ravens, that's a coin flip game as well.
Yeah, Seahawks Browns. I could see the Browns also surprising a little bit if Deshaun's playing.
I think the Pittsburgh game's interesting. Right?
I think
don't
the
we
Pittsburgh
play
game
them?
It'd be December 31st. That's
that
a New
one
Year's
to me
Eve
is
game.
interesting. That's an interesting football game.
Yes.
In Seattle by chance?
It is in Seattle.
Right, so that's very interesting. New Year's going to be a very, very, I hate to use the word hype, but it's going to be a hype atmosphere, right? Pittsburgh, a young football team going on the road. I think we view Pittsburgh as a more talented team.
But you're going
on the road,
cross country.
Yeah, cross country. That's a tough game. So that's a coin flip game for me. Leaning Seattle, maybe tough to say though. All right, number 2 here. I think the Los Angeles Rams are going to be one of the more improved football teams in the league this year. 10-7. They feel like a 10-win team to me. Here's the thing: when you have a future Hall of Fame coach already as he's like 40, and Sean McVay, right? A young yet already almost a lock to make the Hall of Fame coach, and Sean McVay, right? Very, very good offensive mind. And you have I think many would view Stafford as a top 8 to 10 quarterback. I'm not saying he's top 5, but
when he's
top
on
10,
and he's healthy,
he's a top 10 quarterback all day. I find it hard to believe in a coach quarterback league that when you have a top 3 coach and a top 10 quarterback, you're going to win games. Cooper Kupp's a fantastic receiver. Van Jefferson's a good 2 to 3 receiver, right? They have a decent tight end group. I think the Rams have enough talent to do it. And again, this is mostly hinging upon the coach-quarterback combo, though.
For sure.
I just can't foresee people of that echelon of talent being bad 2 years in a row like that.
Yeah, it doesn't happen all that often, and their schedule is a rather easy one outside of, I'd say, 2 or 3 games, right? I think the Bengals will be tough.
The Bengals, Ravens,
Eagles will be tough. I guess you could put the Ravens in that category, yeah. Yeah.
They'll be favored in 10 or 11. They'll probably lose one of those, and they'll win a game that they're...
They don't have a ridiculously hard schedule that I think they could fall like they did last year.
They'll win 8 out of the 10 games they're favored in, and they'll probably then sneak a win or 2 in on a game they're underdogs in, puts them at a 9 or 10-win team. I view them as a 10-win team, 10-7 for the Rams.
Fair enough.
Finally, in first place here, the San Francisco 49ers. I think this goes without saying, this is probably the most talented roster easily in this division. You could argue the whole NFL. They have an all-pro player at every level, right? Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, George Kittle at tight end, Deebo Samuel at receiver, Trent Williams on the offensive line, Nick Bosa on the defensive line, Fred Warner in the linebacker group.
Oh, yeah.
In the secondary, you have Talanoa Hufanga, right? At every level of even their special teams go. Hasn't Robbie Gould been a really good kicker for the past decade?
Yeah, they're loaded.
Well, they have an all-pro, a first-team all-pro level player at every single position.
But where's the question mark?
The quarterback, right?
There
and that's why I think a lot of people feel 11 wins feels a little bit low. Yeah, I think they start 0-2 though. They go to Pittsburgh. That's a tough start, right? I think we have them starting 2-3, 2-4, something like that. They have a very tough early schedule, and historically, San Francisco teams start slow, especially if we don't know who their quarterback is. Brock Purdy hasn't been able to get first-team reps, at least effective ones with his arm. He's got a throwing issue with his elbow, right? And Sam Darnold, right? Has he been taking reps? Either way, whether you're starting an injured Brock Purdy or a Sam Darnold, I don't love their chances in the first month or so of the season.
Yep.
But then you look at the back half of their schedule, I think we have them ripping off 9 straight to go in the playoffs, much like they did this past year. So it's not like it's a crazy thing to insinuate that they're going to win a lot of games in a row at some point in time.
I agree.
They're probably going to finish the season with at least 6 straight wins. Right, they're a good football team. It feels like a first-place team. It feels like a first-place roster. Easily. I think if they can get their quarterback situation figured out within the first 2 months, I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, like you said, opening with the Steelers is tough, and then they have the Rams, and that's the one that we have the Rams winning. So we have them splitting those 2 teams.
I think that's the one in Los Angeles.
It is in Los Angeles in early September. And then, so they start 0-2, and then this is where we see them. They beat the Giants, they beat the Cardinals, and then there's that toss-up game with the Cowboys, right? Because it's early season.
Yeah.
You're assuming the Cowboys aren't banged up yet, because it's only week 5. So, we
don't know 100% what's the quarterback situation going to be.
Are people bouncing around? Because, Trey Lance hasn't looked good in practices either. So, now you're 2-2, you're going in, you're playing the Cowboys at home. You get them at home at least, but then you have to go cross-country to Cleveland the next week.
Yeah, that to me, that's a toss-up game.
And then you come home for a little bit, and then you go right back to Minnesota in the same week, because they're going to come back to the 49ers practice facility. Is that the primetime game? That is the primetime game.
See, now, thank God it's Kirk Cousins prime time, but that's still not an easy football game by any stretch of the imagination.
But then you come back home for the Bengals, and then you go to Jacksonville.
Where they have
and who knows what Jacksonville's
games.
going to be.
Right.
Now we have the 49ers winning that game when we discussed it, just because of the run game, and just
Jacksonville
I guess
just doesn't have
the road grade ability of the 49ers, right?
Yeah,
they're just going to run you through a wall.
The veteran toughness yet. A very young football team. Young football teams, especially the Niners, come in, big veteran running attack, clever head coach. Like, next thing you know, they're up 10, and it feels like they're closer to up 20. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when the Chiefs are down 10, you're like, oh, it's a tie game, right? It's like when Baltimore in Lamar's MVP season, when they're up 7 and they can just run the football, you're like, okay, this game's pretty much over, even though they're up a score, right? Same thing with San Francisco. They're up 10, that game's probably done, you know?
For sure. And then 2 weeks after that, they have the Eagles. 2 weeks after that, they have the Ravens. And then 2 weeks after that, they have the Rams again. So,
it's a tough schedule, but
it's
I think
not a cakewalk.
Yeah, so 11-6, borderline to me feels generous. Like, they're going to be somewhere on 10-7, 11-6. I think this division is going to kind of beat itself up. They're going to be roughly evenly spaced.
Yeah, I agree.
You can kind of see the standings here on your screen. We have the full list: Arizona at 3-14, Seattle at 9-8 in third place, the Rams at 10-7 in second, and finally San Fran just a tick above at 11-6 to win the division.
God, that felt good. That's the NFC West, ladies and gentlemen. But if you want to come back next week, AFC West time. So that's Chiefs. That's Broncos.
Yeah.
It's going to be Raiders.
Yeah.
It's going to be fantastic. Jay Herb and the Chargers. But now it's time to kind of go over some of the top players, right? So who are going to be the dudes in this division that really shake things up this season?
Yeah, all right. So we're going to do the superlatives, right? So it's going to be kind of giving you guys a gauge, a little temperature gauge on who are the best players, who are the most impactful players in the division. So we're going to have the MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, right? Those are, basic, and Coach of the Year. Those are basic awards that the entire league is given out, right? And then the Breakout of the Year. This could be a rookie coming to breakout. This could be a guy, maybe a second-year guy that you see is going to, blossom into a top 10, 15 guy,
Yeah.
Give you a little hint, this one's going to be a rookie, but you get the point. So the superlatives, we're going to start with the MVP. So MVP of the division now, a lot of people will give this to just the flat best player. I think then you're missing the point of most valuable player, right. MVP.
Yes.
And so to me, we discussed this, the most valuable player in this division is Matthew Stafford. If Matthew Stafford is healthy, the Rams are a 9, 10, maybe even 11 win football
Super Bowl competing team.
They are at bare minimum a playoff team. Without him, is it, a 6-win team?
Yes.
I mean, you saw him this past year where they win 5-6 games?
Yep.
Because they didn't have Stafford for most of the season, right? Yep. So Matthew Stafford is the most valuable player in the division. Is he the best? Is he going to put the best statistical numbers? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean,
most valuable? Absolutely.
We say it all of the time on this show. If you want to see somebody's value, take them away from the situation and then look at what happens to the team, to the organization after they're gone. That will be a true test of someone's value. We saw that happen last year, and the Rams crumbled. So we thought about it. You can't really pinpoint a player on any of these other teams in this division where their absence would be catastrophic to the team. We've seen the 49ers deal with injuries. They have so much depth, it doesn't matter.
All the time.
Geno Smith isn't that crazy world beater.
You could put in any other B- to
exactly.
Put Daniel Jones, who I think is more of a C+ quarterback.
And the system will run itself.
I think he would still be a very manageable quarterback, right? Really good running game, offensive line's been pretty good. 3 really, really nice weapons.
I think so.
Okay, Offensive Player of the Year. I don't want to say no-brainer, but Christian McCaffrey feels like a bit of an obvious pick.
Yep.
I think within his first 2 games, he threw a touchdown, ran a touchdown, caught a touchdown. Like he does everything. What he's able to do on the football field is dynamic, right? You could line him up in the slot. You could line him up out wide. You could handle the ball between the tackles, jet sweeps, motions, whatever. Even if he's not touching the football, he's a fantastic decoy, right? He can block a little bit out of the backfield, right? He has a little bit of everything. Now, can he stay healthy? We'll see. He did last year. Yeah. And if he does, to me, he's the best offensive player in the division. I don't want to say by a long shot, but by a pretty good chunk.
And I'm excited because this is going to be the first season that we get to see him with a full offseason, OTAs, everything with the 49ers. Really gear up, learn the playbook even more. I mean, I can only imagine that being inserted into a new NFL team halfway through the season is going to be weird.
It's got to be tough.
And it's going to be really hard to learn the new playbook, learn the new system, learn that everything's new. So now you get time to learn and really get the classroom studying stuff out of the way. That way, you roll right into the season, you're ready to go.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, at the end of the day, the Niners told you how much they value Christian McCaffrey. When Brock Purdy was out of the playoff game, they started snapping the ball to Christian McCaffrey.
Yes.
Like actually snapping the football to a running back.
Yeah, he would have been my number 2 for an MVP, but
he was up there, yeah. All right, Defensive Player of the Year. I think we're going to stay with the Niners here. Nick Bosa. I mean, look, he's consistent, 15 sacks a year.
Crazy.
Now, Aaron Donald's up there, but the pass rushing numbers aren't what they once were. Could they return to prominence? Yes, he could. Yeah, absolutely. But I think Nick Bosa, first of all, in his prime, wildly athletic, right? We've seen the edge rusher kind of take over in football in terms of pass rushing. He used to be the big defensive lineman, right? Reggie White, Aaron Donald, right? Now I think it is more of a Nick Bosa, TJ Watt. Like, that's kind of what's working in the NFL.
Right.
So he's in his prime. The game's moving towards him. Right? He's a 15-sack-a-year type guy. And it can't be overlooked, I guess, that the amount of other good players on that front means that you can't physically double him every time.
Yes.
Right? You just can't. Yeah. Aaron Donald, like, who else was rushing the passer? Like, you can double him a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Like, Nick Bosa is going to get one-on-one looks, and I think he's going to be able to capitalize on a lot of those.
Yeah, it has now turned into who do you have that can beat their left tackle? It's really come down to that, and I think that's why we have him at a Defensive Player of the Year slot, because it's such an important position. I mean, like, we've seen that cover up holes for so many teams with bad secondaries. Pittsburgh's a great example. Pittsburgh has no corners. I mean, we have aging corners and then a Joey Porter Jr. who's going to be a rookie this year.
Yeah.
Right? You have big holes in the secondary. What covers that up? A fantastic pass rush. So I think Nick Bosa here is a perfect fit.
All right, breakout player, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think when you have Tyler Lockett as more of a, I don't want to say gadget, but more shifty, very vertical threat, DK Metcalf, who can also get vertical, more of like a possession receiver as well, can go up and high point the football. I think a perfect slot receiver, very good route runner, good hands, good after the catch. Jackson Smith-Njigba fits into the offense really, really well. Good run game, so he's not going to be relied upon a ton. He's going to be able to come in, catch 60 passes, 800 yards or whatever, 6 touchdowns, and be a very, very good 3. Arguably the best 3 in football, I think.
I really liked the pick when it happened, and I think he has his way to start as a 3 and maybe work his way up that receiver chain here as the season goes on.
I think he has the talent to be better than Tyler Lockett and become their 2. I don't know if he's as physically gifted as DK Metcalf, but he could be that's true. He could be very productive. He could be productive enough to be a 1, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think I don't know if he stays in Seattle long term, but I mean, in any other system, I think he could go be a 1. There's like a select few teams, obviously, like the Jamar Chases, the Justin Jeffersons of the world.
Yeah.
But like 80% of the league don't have those guys.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, Coach of the Year, I think Sean McVay. I think yes, they're going to be 10-7. I think they'll vie for the division. They could also end up in 3rd. It wouldn't surprise me. But my point is, I think they are going to be a winning football team. I think they're going to win double digits, and I think he's going to do that with the least talented roster of those top 3. I think we can all agree that Arizona is going to be in the basement. Mm-hmm. But with Seattle, the Rams, and San Francisco, I think he's got the least talent on the roster, but he's going to be able to do the most with it. Yeah. I think, to me, that's the mark of really, really good coaching. They're going to be fantastic situationally, dynamic offensively, right? So that's the mark of a very good coach, Sean McVay, for me, as Coach of the Year.
I love it. And he's been so dominant, and we've talked about it multiple times on the show. What other coach do you know that you could just walk up to and be like, hey, in 2014, when you were the tight ends coach for the Washington football team, or I guess at the time the Redskins, what play did you run on 3rd and 15 with 7 minutes left in the third quarter? And he'll be able to tell you the exact play, like every single player that was on the field, what happened, what was the result, and what broke down without seeing the film in years. It's insane. The football mind on Sean McVay is enough to put him in the number 1 slot here, and he is.
There you go, guys. There's superlatives. Matt Stafford's MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey, Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa, the breakout Jackson Smith-Njigba, the rookie from Ohio State, and Coach of the Year, Sean McVay of the Rams. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to have a really, really good sports news segment and a little bit of a discussion on Justin Fields and what's to come for the Chicago Bears.
Let's go. Third segment of the issue on Thursday, July 6th. And still riding that wave from the first divisional predictions. And this last segment that we just finished out, so we just did the NFC West. Felt so good to get back into it, start predicting what this season of football is going to look like, right? I was telling Tim before we came on to do the predictions, it's time to put last season in the past, right? No more talk about 2022. No more analyzing, what happened last year. Now we're putting on the glasses, looking into the future, and trying to see what these teams will do this season in the 2023 NFL season, starting in like 9 to 10 weeks, which is freaking awesome. But guys, this segment is going to be pretty good too. We have the news, so we're going to go over the biggest stories in sports, and then we'll round things out with a little discussion on Justin Fields, the Chicago Bears, kind of the organization as a whole. It's gonna be a good one.
I would agree. So without further ado, let's get into the news.
You want to get into some news now?
Let's just do the news, yeah.
All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah, let's just do the news. And let's start with the most American story on this beautiful 4th of July week. Obviously, it is now the 6th, but we just had the 4th of July. Again, hope you guys are safe. But you know what happens on the 4th of July. Is it world famous? I don't know. It's certainly United States famous.
The National Eating Hot Dog Competition.
Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Competition.
Yeah.
Joey Chestnut wins his 16th title. Didn't break his PR, but he ate 62 hot dogs. It was 13 more than that. It's like comical. It's 13 more or something like that than the next person. Now, I'm not saying that there's that I would expect. I'm not saying that I could get up there and get closer than that. But you're telling me that other professional eaters were 13 away from this guy?
This is
nobody's even close.
This is like the Patrick Mahomes of hot dog eating.
Okay, so now this begs the question. I saw there was the picture of him walking up after the rain delay, walking. First of all, hilarious picture. The security guards looking, people in the stands are oh my, and Joey Chestnut just game day look on his face. And somebody said this is the equivalent of Tiger walking up to the Masters, right? Or this is the LeBron James or Patrick Mahomes of hot dog eating. And it got me thinking yeah, I guess of hot dog eating, but are we considering this a sport now? Is that what's happening?
I don't think so.
Is it on? Just because it's on ESPN does not mean it's a sport.
No, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, I mean, poker's on ESPN. I wouldn't classify that as a sport. I don't know.
At least that's a game. I mean, I guess that's a competition.
Yeah. So I mean, in a way, I guess it could kind of be. And let's take a second. How many I feel a larger
really
percentage
impressive
of the population can play football than can eat hot dogs at that rate, right? I mean, how hard is it?
I have no
not
idea.
just hot dogs, but I've seen this guy everywhere recently. Let me just tell you. Rewatching some of Hell's Kitchen, fantastic show by the way. He was on Hell's Kitchen, just gumming down chicken wings. It was crazy.
I'm not surprised. I wonder how many chickens. So I mean, think about the volume of a Nathan's hot dog, right?
I'm looking it up. It's gotta be there.
16 of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 62 of them. 16th title. The hot dogs are about that big. Don't tell me until after I talk. All right. How many chicken wings do you think he could eat? So in my head, one hot dog's got to be worth about 2 to 3 chicken wings. So I'm gonna go with 120 chicken wings in a sitting.
He holds the
How low am I?
He holds the world record for 70 hot dogs, right? He holds the world record for 182 chicken wings in 30 minutes.
Are you kidding?
151 hard-boiled eggs in 8 minutes.
Wait, did you say 100 and what?
151 hard-boiled eggs in 8 minutes. 47 grilled cheese sandwiches in 10 minutes. And 121 Twinkies in 6 minutes.
Okay, see, I want to throw something out there.
That's an athlete.
I want to throw something out there. I did predict the amount of chicken wings correctly. I just didn't do my math correct. I said there's 3 chicken wings to every hot dog, and his record is roughly 60-ish hot. That would put me at 180, but for some reason I only doubled it. Am I stupid?
182 chicken wings in 30 minutes.
That's just insane to me.
151 hard-boiled eggs. Think about looking at 151 hard-boiled eggs. That'd be tough to look at, let alone eat, in 8 minutes.
How big of a room would you need for it to cover the entire floor? If
you would have to have a dude.
If you put them on end next to each other.
I don't know, but you would have to have a dude next to you with a cart and just a conveyor belt system going right to him. Guess. Weird. I don't know.
Story number 2 here. Mike Trout to the IL with a hand fracture. So it was on a normal looking swing. I think he just his hand slipped on the bat in an awkward way. Either way, he breaks his hamate bone in his hand. It's closer to your wrist. It's not a very comfortable bone to break, so that's the problem. Now, technically, right now he's on the 10-day IL. I think he'll probably miss closer to 2 to 3 weeks, probably at the very least.
Yep.
It's a weird bone to break, and it's going to be tough to kind of feel it out on your way back. So not ideal. Do you think the Angels can kind of withstand this time without Mike Trout?
It's going to be really tough. I mean, Mike Trout is a big contributor. You always count on him, and when you're talking about the best player in the sport, pretty much. I mean, I'd say he's at least top 3.
Shohei, but then yes,
3 to 5.
Thank God they have the number 1 player,
right?
Or else they'd really be screwed.
Yes, and that
Trout's
help.
definitely a top at lowest 10.
But you hate to lose him.
You hate to lose him. It's not good, and their pitching hasn't been very good either. So now the offense really gonna have to pick up the slack, and of course, they're missing one of their top guys to pick up that slack.
Yeah, coming from somebody that I actually dealt with a lot of wrist stuff in playing baseball, towards the end there. and it was tough. I mean, the grip strength on the bat is affected. Everything's affected. You take a swing, and on the backswing, it's like, oh, that one felt weird, but then the next three feel okay. But then you take a swing. Yeah. It's all like.
There's a lot that could go wrong in a baseball swing, throwing.
Yeah, it's not like a normal injury where it's just like, oh, we've rehabbed this and it feels fine. So it's like really
it
like
nags.
Yeah.
Yeah. Story number 3 here: Damian Lillard, the guard in Portland, the Portland Trail Blazers, longtime point guard, 11 years in Portland, has requested a trade. Now there's been rumors about him, leaving Portland for 2-3 years now. Finally, he requests the trade. Miami is the betting favorite, and he has announced that he wants to go to Miami.
Yeah.
Look, the thing is, Miami doesn't have anything to offer back. They just have a bunch of guards. And right now, Portland has a ton of young guards. Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Anthony Simons, right? Like, they have a ton of young guards. So, like, what are you going to give them? Tyler Hero and picks? It's like they already have a bunch of guards. In my head, you probably have to include a third team. Like the Nets, for example, have like 20-something picks over the next 5 years. You could get the Nets and say, hey, the Nets, take Tyler Hero and 2 picks, and then the Nets cobble up some picks, maybe a bench player, and send that to Portland. Portland can start their rebuild. Then Portland sends Dame, of course, to Miami. I don't know. It's not just super straightforward. Oh, yeah, Tyler Hero for Dame. Like, nobody's going to do that. Dame's an all-time player. Tyler Hero, more of a rotational bench player type guy. So it's interesting to see. I don't know. I hope Dame goes to somewhere where he can win. He's been not in a place he can win for 11 years, and he deserves to win, but we'll see.
Yeah, Miami's a hot spot too, especially.
Who doesn't want to go to Miami?
Yeah,
I want to go to. I'll just go to Miami.
Yeah,
I want to
go
to Miami. Yeah, I'd love to live in Miami. Why not? Especially in a winter league when it's snowing when you get off the bus at 3 a.m. from Milwaukee. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to be in Miami.
Yeah, 100%. Go hit the beach. Like,
that'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be nice. Speaking of not Miami and a cold, kind of in that Midwest region, the Chicago Bears. Let's talk a little bit about Justin Fields. Yeah, so I thought the stat, right? The Justin Fields, despite all all his shortcomings, had actually the best and the highest touchdown to interception ratio against playoff teams last year. Let's look into that. What's the context of it? So he had an 11-1 touchdown interception ratio. That's pretty good. He had 7 games against those playoff teams. Again, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick. It's pretty good, I have to admit. And he's not thought of as a pure passer. Right? I feel he's more of definitely a dynamic playmaker. That goes without saying. Really good with the legs. And he can make some throws, especially the downfield. Got a big arm, right? It's there. I worry more about the layups. Can he hit the swing pass? Can he hit the slant? Can he throw a really nice fade ball in the end zone when you need it, right? Like Ben and AB were always classic for that. Ben, they just look at each other, boom, beautiful fade to the back pylon, right? Can he make those plays that, I'm not saying that those are layups, for me, for Luke, for anybody that is not an NFL quarterback. An NFL quarterback needs to make those throws. Those are the ones I worry about. So in those 7 games, the team was 1-6. 1-6. I'm not saying he's working with a ton of talent, but 1-6. I love the stats and all this. That's great that you put up these numbers. Are you winning games? At the end of the day, you have to win football games, right? And I don't think he's the prospect of Andrew Luck. I think that goes without saying. But people say, oh, he had nothing to work with. Andrew Luck went to Indianapolis. I would argue right now that Indianapolis roster, when Andrew Luck got there, was just about as bad, if not worse, than this Chicago roster. 11-5, 11-5, 11-5 in his first 3 years. Andrew Luck was that guy. I'm not saying that Justin Fields can't be that guy. I'm not saying that we need to hold Justin Fields to the standard of Andrew Luck. But you got to win games, right? You are brought into this league, yes, to be a very, very dynamic playmaking quarterback. Absolutely. To help you win games, right? So now Lamar is a more realistic comparison. Now I know Lamar's got a more stable franchise, more talent, but Lamar's winning 80% of his games when he's healthy. 80%. And so then you look at those 7 games again, and let's put some more context into them. 2 of those 7 games, he completed 50% or less. Again, that's my concern. 50% or less. Those are JV numbers. In another 2, in a different 2 games, he completed 65% or less. Now, getting slightly better, but one of them was like right at 60, the other one was at like 64. You have to be able to complete throws. Yes, Justin played well in those games, but my concern with him has never been, can he put up numbers? It is, can he hit the swing? It's the consistency. It's the, hey man, can you not go to Houston and throw 2 picks and complete 47% of your throws? Can you not complete 33% of throws against a bad defense in Detroit? And put up a whopping 75 yards in that game. Yes, that happened. Go look it up. Like, I do think Justin Fields is going to work to some degree in the NFL. But let's realize that he's not even close to being a competitive NFL-ready thrower of the football. It's just not there yet. Can he get there? Sure. But is he more of an athlete and more of a playmaker right now than an actual good NFL quarterback? Yes. He is not ready to be a competitive thrower of the football. Right? People always talk about Jared Goff, this, Jared Goff, that. Jared Goff's a very, very good NFL quarterback. If you said right now, for the next 2 years, who would you want, Jared Goff or Justin Fields? I would take Jared Goff. It's not even all that close. Like, Justin Fields is getting there. Could he be there? And that's why I said for the next 2 years. Could he get there in 3 to 5 years? Absolutely. Yes, he could. But you cannot go to Houston and complete 47% of your throws. You cannot go to Detroit in a dome and complete 33%. You can't do it. You have to be better than that. You just have to be.
And Justin Fields even is, like, he's boosted a little bit by a weaker division as well. I mean, it's now that Aaron is left.
Yep.
Right now you have Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, who are very hit or miss. I mean,
I'd say they're a very average NFL team.
They go from being really, really hot to like freezing cold.
Yeah.
The Lions are rebuilding, so now you have something else to look out for now that Aaron's gone. But I mean, it's still not like top of the league division strength.
No.
So like you should be winning. I would say a majority of your divisional games. If you are supposed to
split, you should at least go 3-3.
If you're supposed to be like the franchise guy and this great quarterback, you need to win in your division.
You can't win 3 games last year. I'll tell you that. You cannot win 3 games.
Yeah, it was bad.
And so now here's the good news, right? They have some talent, right? They brought in a couple backs. They have DJ Moore now. They have Chase Claypool. They have Darnell Mooney. Still, like, I'm not saying that's a top 10 receiving core, but that's a top half of the league. Very viable top 3 receivers. Good backs. Offensive line's improving. You're always going to have a fairly good defense, right? Like, and Justin is going to help that run game as well. But like, they're not at this point devoid of talent like they were 2 years ago. This is a much better football team than they were when Justin first got there.
So we'll eventually get to it in the NFC North when we do that. But if you were to just give me your thoughts on what this season's going to look like for Chicago right now, like, give me like some sort of a record. And I'm not asking for anything specific, but how many wins do they feel like to you? And is it a playoff competitive team yet?
I don't think it's a playoff team. I think it's a 6 to 7 win team. Without having really dug into the schedule, I think it's a 6 to 7 win team. I think that lands them in 3rd or 4th place. I think if Jordan Love's really bad, they could be in 3rd place. I think if Detroit is Detroit, right? Like, I mean, we think Detroit's going in the right direction, but it would like surprise you if Detroit just automatically sucked again.
No.
Not really.
No.
Right? So it's possible they could be in 3rd if one of those two things happen, right? Love's bad or Detroit's Detroit, but it feels like a 4th place team to me. It feels like a 6-7 win team, a 4th place team. And there's going to be a ton of 6-11, 7-10, 8-9, 9-8 teams in this division. Like, they're all going to. I don't think there's any awful teams. I don't think there's a team that separates and wins 12 games.
And to be fair, I think we still need to see more from Justin Fields before we can get like an accurate read on him.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm out on him. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm pointing out the obvious. He's got to be better. Like, he just has to be better.
He 100% has to be better, but everybody that's either 100% rolling him out now or 100% saying he's going to be fantastic and can be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, like, you need a bigger sample size.
Yeah, you absolutely need a bigger sample size. And now, and I think this is what the new GM's been doing, it's like, we got to get him talent to see if he can play. Right? Like, if you keep surrounding him with no talent, you have no idea if he can really play. Right now that he has a legitimate receiving core, a good backfield, an improving offensive line, like, this is the time. Like, you gotta do it.
Yeah,
they're gonna get their answer on him by Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you're either gonna find out now or that it's gonna work, or you're gonna be drafting a quarterback in the next year.
Yeah, or 10 games in, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, no.
Yeah. Do you think they move off him already? So say he comes out and he's horrific this year. Halfway through the season, it's just bad.
2-8, 3-8, somewhere around there.
Are they taking him trying to draft? Is it going to be a race between Arizona and Chicago?
I don't know if
and
they
anybody else?
I don't think they tank. No, because a young quarterback can make steps week to week and month to month to put him on the right trajectory. And what if they're 3-8? He goes out and wins 6 straight, and they're going into next year, riding a little bit of a high. So I don't think they tank. But I think they could very seriously start having conversations devoting that they need to move off Justin Fields, yes.
Okay. It's going to be cool.
I don't know,
can't
we'll
wait.
see.
NFL season is rapidly approaching, and
I'm so excited.
being
I'm
able
so
to watch that all unfold is going to be
Scott Hansen and me are gonna
fantastic.
rekindle our intimate relationship on Sundays. I'm very excited.
Me and my buffalo chicken dip is about to
Cannot
rekindle
wait.
a relationship.
I can't wait. Oh,
It's going to be good. Guys, that is all we have for you for this week. So make sure you're going to the website, theissuesports.com. Check out all the information we have over there. Follow all the social medias. And make sure you're following the Players Only podcast now. It is at Players Only Podcast on Instagram and at Players Only Pod on TikTok. All the links, like usual, can be found in the description of the episode. And you can also go over and check it out. It now has its own page over on the website. So, guys, we will see you back here next Thursday, and that was The Issue.